On a cold city street, a black homeless man approached a group of wealthy car enthusiasts polishing their gleaming sports cars. His clothes were torn, his hands calloused, and his voice low as he asked, "Can I fix it for food?" The men laughed, mocking him, calling him useless, unaware of the truth they were ridiculing. Because the man they scorned wasn't just another stranger on the streets. He was once a racing legend, a name whispered with awe on tracks across the country. And what happened next would shock everyone who thought they already knew his worth. His name was Derek Cole, though most people on the streets never knew it. To them he was just another homeless man wandering between gas stations and alleyways, asking for spare change or leftover food. But years ago his name had once echoed across racetracks, roaring through speakers as fans cheered his victories. Derek had been a rising star, one of the few black men to break into professional racing. With lightning-fast reflexes and nerves of steel, he had become known as the Phantom on Wheels. But fame is fragile and so is fortune. Behind the glamour, Derek had faced constant discrimination. Sponsors dropped him for white drivers with more marketable images. Journalists praised his skill but always questioned whether he fit the sport. Every victory was shadowed by whispers of doubt, every loss magnified as proof he didn't belong. Then came the accident. One rainy night during a qualifier, a crash shattered not just his car but his career. The injuries healed, but the offers never returned. Teams stopped calling, fans forgot, and soon the money ran out. Struggling with medical bills and abandonment, Derek found himself spiraling into poverty. Now, years later, he lived invisible among the streets of the very city where his trophies once shone. Most people who passed him only saw the dirt on his clothes, not the fire that once burned in his heart. They didn't know that behind the tired eyes was a man who had once outrun legends, and it was here, broken, forgotten, and mocked, that Derek's story would take an unexpected turn. That afternoon, Derek shuffled closer to the gleaming row of cars parked outside a luxury cafe. They were machines of beauty, sleek Ferraris, Lamborghinis, and Porsches, each polished until the reflections of the city skyline glimmered off their hoods. A group of young men stood nearby, their designer jackets and sunglasses a declaration of wealth. "Hey, can I fix it for food?" Derek asked one of them, nodding toward a Ferrari with a faint scratch near its wheel arch. His voice cracked, not from weakness but from years of being ignored. Laughter erupted instantly. One man sneered, "You, fix this. You probably don't even know which end of a wrench to hold." Another added, "Careful, he might steal the tires and run." They didn't even lower their voices. To them, Derek wasn't human, just an object of ridicule. But Derek didn't flinch. His eyes studied the car, noticing subtle misalignments others missed. The brake pads worn thin, the suspension slightly off balance, the faint smell of overheating coolant. Years of instinct honed on the track, whispered every detail to him. With calm certainty, he murmured, "Your brake line's leaking. If you don't fix it soon, that car won't stop when you need it to." The group froze for a moment, then burst into louder laughter. "Oh really? The homeless mechanic knows more than us," one mocked. "Tell you what, if you're so smart, prove it. Fix it right now. If you're wrong, you'll polish every one of our cars for free." Derek's stomach tightened. He hadn't eaten in 2 days. He had nothing to lose. With a nod he accepted. Someone tossed him a worn-out toolkit, as if mocking him further. Cameras came out. They wanted a show, a spectacle to post online. But what they didn't realize was that Derek's hands, though calloused, still remembered the rhythm of engines and the heartbeat of machines. He slid under the Ferrari, moving with a confidence that stunned even the onlookers. Within minutes he tightened, adjusted, and sealed the very leak they hadn't even known existed. When he emerged, grease staining his hands, he simply said, "Try it now." One of the men reluctantly turned the key. The engine purred smoother, steadier. A test drive around the block later, the truth was undeniable. The brakes responded with precision. The laughter died, replaced by uneasy silence. And then, one voice from the crowd muttered, "Wait, I've seen him before." A phone screen lit up, searching old racing archives. And as images appeared, headlines, photos, trophies, shock rippled through the group. The homeless man they mocked wasn't a nobody. He was Derek Cole, the racing legend they had grown up watching. The silence after the discovery was deafening. Phones flashed as more and more faces stared at their screens, scrolling through articles, old photos and videos of roaring racetracks. There he was, Derek Cole, helmet tucked under his arm, crowds chanting his name, reporters hailing him as the future of racing. The same men who had laughed minutes ago now struggled to find their words. One stammered, That's him. That's the Phantom on wheels." Another whispered, "No way, he won Daytona, didn't he?" Derek stood quietly, his broad shoulders hunched, not from shame, but from the weight of years spent unseen.
For so long he had been erased, his achievements buried under prejudice, his legacy left to rot in the shadows. And now, in the middle of a sidewalk, surrounded by luxury cars and shallow men, his truth had roared back louder than any engine. One of the bystanders, no longer mocking but trembling, asked, "How did you end up here?" But Derek didn't answer. He didn't need to. His silence carried more power than words. It was a silence that accused, that reminded them all how quickly society discards those it deems unworthy, especially men who looked like him. The same hands they had mocked had once steered machines at 200 miles an hour. The same mind they dismissed had once outsmarted legends on the track. And the same man they ridiculed had just proven that even stripped of wealth, titles and recognition, skill and dignity could not be erased. The young men exchanged uneasy glances. For the first time their expensive cars, their shallow pride, seemed fragile compared to the strength of the man they had tried to belittle. Cameras that had been raised to capture a cruel joke were now recording history, an unmasking of arrogance and a reminder that greatness doesn't vanish, even when forgotten. And in that moment, Derek Cole, homeless, hungry but unbroken, stood taller than any of them. News of the incident spread faster than the engines Derek once commanded. The video, originally intended as a cruel laugh at a homeless man's expense, went viral for an entirely different reason. Millions watched in awe as the man once mocked for his torn clothes revealed himself to be a former racing legend. For many viewers, it was a moment of reckoning. They had never considered how a man of such talent could vanish into obscurity. Comments flooded in, some shocked, some ashamed, and many inspired. "How did we let this happen?" people asked. "How can someone who gave so much be left with nothing?" As for Derek, his life did not transform overnight into wealth and glory. But something far more powerful happened. His dignity was restored. Local racing clubs reached out, offering him a role as a mentor. Mechanics came to shake his hand, calling him a teacher. Young drivers looked into his eyes with respect, eager to learn from the man who had once defied both the laws of speed and the walls of prejudice. Yet even with recognition trickling back, Derek never let the world forget the truth. He spoke not about his victories, but about the injustice that pushed him into the shadows. He reminded people that racism is not always loud. It often hides in the decisions of sponsors who drop a driver for the color of his skin, in the whispers of doubt that follow every achievement, in the indifference of a society that celebrates someone one day and discards them the next. The men who mocked him that day never forgot what they witnessed. For them the lesson came sharp and heavy. Greatness can't be measured in clothes, in wealth, or in status symbols. True greatness is in resilience, skill, and dignity, things no one can strip away. And for those who watched the video across the world, Derek's story became more than just a tale of redemption. It became a mirror, reflecting the uncomfortable truth of how easily society looks past those it doesn't value, how quickly we judge by appearances instead of humanity. Derek still walked the streets, but now when people saw him, they didn't just see a homeless man. They saw a survivor. They saw a legend. And maybe, just maybe, the next time someone asks, "Can I fix it for food?" the world will remember Derek Cole and choose to answer with respect, not ridicule.